Have you ever wondered what was really happening in the spiritual realm when Jesus was arrested? The Garden of Gethsemane wasn't just a quiet place of betrayal, it was the scene of a celestial showdown. Hidden from human eyes, 75,000 angels stood ready, swords drawn, waiting for a single command from Jesus. But he didn't call on them. Why? What stopped them? And what does this moment reveal about God's incredible plan for us? Today, let's uncover the truth behind that night and the mystery that will leave you in awe. Picture the scene: Jesus knelt beneath the olive trees, the weight of the world pressing down on him. The Gospel of Matthew captures his anguish: "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." Matthew 26 verse 38. His disciples, exhausted and unaware of the battle unfolding, struggled to stay awake. Meanwhile, Jesus prayed, his voice trembling with the agony of what was ahead: "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." Matthew 26 verse 39. The stillness of the night was shattered by the clinking of armor and the glow of flickering torches. Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' closest followers, stepped into the garden with a crowd armed with swords and clubs. The betrayal couldn't have been more personal. "The one I kiss is the man, arrest him." Matthew 26 verse 48. As Judas leaned in and kissed Jesus, the betrayal was sealed. But Jesus didn't flinch. He stood calm, fully aware of the weight of this moment. Suddenly, Peter, driven by loyalty and impulsive anger, grabbed his sword and struck the servant of the high priest, cutting off his ear. But Jesus, ever in control, immediately rebuked him. "Put your sword back in its place, for all who draw the sword will die by the sword." Matthew 26 verse 52. Then, with a tone filled with authority and love, Jesus revealed a staggering truth: "Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels?" Matthew 26 verse 53. A Roman legion was made up of about 6,000 soldiers. Do the math: Jesus was talking about over 72,000 angels. Just one angel could have ended the situation. In fact, in 2 Kings 19 verse 35, a single angel wiped out 185,000 Assyrian soldiers in one night. Can you even imagine the power of 75,000 angels standing at the ready? And yet, Jesus didn't summon them. Why? Because his mission wasn't about destruction, it was about love and salvation. Here's where it gets truly mind-blowing: Jesus had the power to end his suffering at any moment. But he didn't. Instead, he chose to lay down his life for us. Greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. John 15 verse 13. The angels were ready to fight, but Jesus held them back because his love for you and me was greater than his desire to escape the pain. Jesus' arrest wasn't a defeat, it was the ultimate act of strength and obedience. By allowing himself to be taken, he fulfilled prophecy after prophecy. Isaiah had written long before, "He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth. He was led like a lamb to the slaughter." Isaiah 53 verse 7. Think about this: Jesus didn't call on the angels because he wanted to save us, not himself. That's the kind of love he has for you. A love that sacrifices. A love that gives everything. Now, what's your response to this love? Will you choose to follow him? Will you surrender your life to the one who gave his for you? Jesus' arrest wasn't just a moment in history, it's an invitation. He's inviting you to live out the same kind of sacrificial love he showed that night in the garden. And here's the beautiful part: those angels who stood ready to fight for Jesus now celebrate every person who turns to him. The Bible says, "There is rejoicing in the presence of the angels of God over one sinner who repents." Luke 15 verse 10. This Christmas, let's remember the 75,000 angels who watched in awe as their King chose love over power. Let's let that same love fill our hearts. Share this message with someone who needs it. Let's spread the hope, the grace, and the love of Jesus Christ to a world that desperately needs it.